Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Jeffrey Lazarus, and you are watching Welcome to Hexodius on the Gaming Vector. So let's go ahead and press start and jump in. Now, Hexodius is it's a pretty basic twin-stick shooter. But let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at some of the options and whatnot. So under options, we have music and sound effects volume sliders. Under settings, you can simply turn vibration on or off. Not a whole lot of options there. On the help screen, I'll leave these up for a few seconds each if you want to take a look at them, but this gives you the basic overview of the game, which I will also give you as we're playing through here. So there you can see the items screen, the customization screen. This is a twin-stick shooter with customization, which does make it a little bit interesting. You can see weapon management, exploration. There is a pretty substantial amount of exploration from what I've seen so far. And there you can see some tips, as well as the actions you can perform to get bonus points. So we're going to go ahead. Well, actually, before we do that, we will look, and you can see the game does also have full leaderboards. It also shows you the ship setup of the player who gained the score, so you can get an idea of what they were using to gain that high score. So let's go ahead and jump into story mode, and I'm going to load up this one. You can see I played about 20 minutes, and this is on normal difficulty. There are 4 difficulties, and they do tell you straight up what the difference in difficulty is. And typically the difference is whether or not you get to respawn at a checkpoint when you run out of lives, how many lives you start out with, and there is a hardcore difficulty where when you run out of lives, that's it. So, I said that it was a twin-stick shooter, but you're looking at this kind of hex board. Now, essentially what this is your map for exploration. So as you see, as we get over here, there's some areas that light up with enter. These are the next arenas that we can head into. You'll see these ones with the crossed swords are arenas we've completed. This one with the little radar actually exposes those green question marks on the map to show us where the rest of the items are that we don't have yet. These shields, I believe, if I remember correctly, are also a different type of arena, as well as these kind of crosshair targeting icons. And then the other things that we have on the map here, we have these repair stations, and the one with the flag on it is actually my checkpoint. So if I run out of lives, this is where I'll come back to, or if I load from last checkpoint, I'll come back to here. And if I remember correctly, it should still be at the same point. You can see one up above this shield icon that hasn't been used yet, as well as one over there to the right that hasn't been used yet. And finally, we have the shop. So let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at the shop before we do anything else. So here in the shop, you'll see we've got different sets of items that we can buy. These are permanent upgrades to your ship. So on this first screen, we have items that run off of a cooldown, and these can be dropped around the battlefield to help you take out the enemies. Here you see items that run on your heating system. I actually don't have any of these, so I'm not 100% sure how the heating system works. But you can see from the look, these aren't really like drops that you put on the battlefield. These are more things that affect your ship directly. And then over here we have passive upgrades. So increasing overall movement speed, or so on and so forth. Now, if we look in the upper left corner, you'll see 5 nuts up in the upper left-hand corner. And those are actually your lives. Every time you get hit, you lose one of those. You can come back to these repair stations, which also double as your checkpoints, to repair your ship and get all of your lives back for a cost. So staying alive is actually very important, because do you want to have to spend money to repair, or do you want to be able to buy upgrades? So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and jump into one of these and see exactly what happens. And there's several different types. I don't know that I've done one with this icon yet, so let's go ahead and jump into that and see how this might be different from some of the other ones that you can do. Okay, so we have to bring back energy containers to get extra credits. Very interesting. Oh, this is one where you're actually not using your ship, you're using this little robot known as Fred. He's the one who kind of built the ship that you fly around in. And you have to try and get over... He has no offensive abilities. Oh, and he's much slower when he's actually carrying one of these as well. Oh boy. So this one isn't too bad, but this gives you an idea of some of the variation in gameplay, and there is a pretty substantial amount of variation in the gameplay from what I've seen so far, simply because they came up with several different types of modes. Like, there's destroy the reactors before time runs out. There's survive... Oh boy. There's ones where you have to survive the enemy attack and, you know, basically take out everything that comes at you. There's ones where you have to protect this little guy while he's, say, hacking a terminal. So it's a nice amount of variation. This is a $10 downloadable title, after all. Oh boy. I don't know how long the game actually is, but to do everything in this kind of first area that I've been in, I'm going to estimate it will probably take a total of about 30 to 45 minutes. Now, not knowing how many areas there are, it's hard to estimate like total playtime for the game. But I would assume there's probably somewhere between 6 to 10 areas, so I would guess somewhere between... it has to be somewhere between 3 to 10 hours of gameplay, I would think, at the most. And that's if you're not going for perfect ranks and all of that stuff. All of the... Oh, pick up the item. There we are. All of the maps do have kind of your typical sort of almost Japanese rating system. They tend to use it a lot where you have, you know, D through A, and then you have an S rank if you do extremely well. So this will actually give us a bunch of bonus score. So that's 300 extra credits we can spend to actually get an upgrade. So let's head back to the shop and get an upgrade, and I can show you exactly how those work before we move on. You see also that tile goes down, so now we can move over it, and we no longer can access that actual room. So let's go back to the shop here now that we have some extra credits, and let us get... You know, let's get the shot accelerator. That seems like a viable option. And then we'll head into one of the more traditional arenas so I can show you the actual shooter gameplay. Okay, so just tutorializing some things there. So up at the top here we have upgrades. These are the things on the far right that we could buy. So you see I have fast shot, I have titanium shell, so that absorbs the first hit that's taken. And then if I had another one, I could plug it into this third slot. Down here on our ship, we have our actual abilities. So, for instance, I can take the shot accelerator that we just got and put it on left trigger. Now, down here at the bottom, you see unlock order. This is actually rather important. You don't start with these abilities in the map. You will actually have to unlock them as you play through the level. As you pick up the items that the enemies drop, you'll be able to start using these abilities. So let's go ahead, press start, and start the battle. Now this is actually a target battle, so we have to destroy the target in the room before the countdown ends. And typically from what I've seen so far, it's a power generator. It's usually guarded by some turrets, and you have enemies that are going to swarm into the room as well. So here we have to destroy the generator, and you can see it's actually guarded by some turrets. And there I am just immediately getting hammered by shots because... Oh, wow. I'm doing real bad to start out with. One thing I do like about the game... Jesus. Why am I doing so awful? One thing I do have to say that I like about the game is that whenever you get hit, everything slows down, including the music. There you can see equipment's actually ready. So now, as we're shooting, I'm going to hit that, and there you can see our shot speed actually increased a pretty substantial amount. Now we can hammer away at this thing. but we do have to be wary of everything else that's around here trying to kill us. But if I stay on this side, I can actually avoid that turret. But yeah, I like that everything kind of slows down, including the music when you get hit. Oh, these guys. Oh boy. Yeah, they're going to pull me into range of the turret. Yeah, bad things are going to happen from there. But I like that because it really gives a sense of weight to every time you get hit. You really know that you got hit, and it gives you a chance to figure out exactly what happened. So there, you can see we've actually destroyed the thing, but that doesn't end the level. We can actually stay in the level. You'll see the message at the top that there's a teleporter activated. In the center of the room, there's a teleporter that we can use to actually get out. So now that I've wiped out the enemies, I'll go ahead and leave the room. Now, I could have come in here and done the teleporter at any time after, but I decided to wait till the end so I could maximize my score. And there you can see how you get your score. Enemies destroyed, items picked up, how long it took you to destroy the target. There's bonus actions, such as picking up X amount of energy, and then you lose points whenever you die. So we got a B rank there. That's not terrible. You can see it goes E to A, and then there is also an S rank. So let's go ahead and do one more level while we take a look at this. And I want to talk a little bit about... Oh, we can do a more traditional one. Yes, I'm okay with this. Although, I'm going to go ahead and spend my cash to repair. And as you can see, that takes 50 of our space credits. And that will give us full repair, and now we're back up to full health, which is fantastic. I do want to talk a little bit about the aesthetic and the controls of the game as well. So, aesthetically... Yeah, let's just go ahead and start. Aesthetically, the game looks pretty good. Like, it looks like... It doesn't look like sprites. It looks like everything is actually 3D modeled, which is great. Oh, bollocks. Just take a hit right off the beginning. It looks like everything is 3D modeled. The colors are... Damn it. The colors are bright when they need to be, but it still fits within kind of the overall theme of the game. Of your... The idea here is that you're stuck in this kind of space station that's been taken over by a rogue security AI. I'm just wrecking these guys as they come out. Oh boy! So I can actually use my faster shot here, so... Ah, there we go. Okay, so it's active, I think. Oh, and these guys. And as you can see, we're actually getting closer to our mine here as well. Now, music-wise, well, there's more equipment ready. Music-wise, the music is good. It's fitting to the theme. I don't think there's anything terribly memorable about it, but it's not a bad soundtrack by any means. And there you can see the mine actually going off. Now, if you set that off directly below an enemy, you'll actually get a bonus as well. Like that. Although I don't know that I actually got the bonus there. And now the teleporter's active, as well as we get a life fragment. So this will actually... Collecting 4 of those will actually give us an extra life slot, and then we can teleport out. And you can see max chain 6. I actually didn't get the bonus on the mines like I thought I had, but that's quite alright. Now, gameplay-wise, the game controls really well, and I probably make it look worse than it is. Also, I'm going to go ahead and checkpoint up here. Yes. Oh, nothing to be repaired. But as I was saying, the gameplay... We'll go ahead and start this one. This is defense. The gameplay feels really, really good. Like, the controls act exactly how you think they would in a twin-stick shooter. Now, the thing is, it is still a twin-stick shooter. And it's not hard to find a good twin-stick shooter. So is this one actually worth the money? Well, if you're a fan of the genre, absolutely it is. If this is something if this is the type of game that you really enjoy playing a lot of, then I think this is a good game for that. is it worth the $10 asking price? I think so, judging by the amount of content that I've seen so far, and not to mention it's got the upgrading system and the arcade mode that I haven't even played any of yet, as well as... Oh wow, just ate a hit right out of the gate there. But it has those, as well as having the leaderboards and all of that type of stuff. You can see the mine in effect again, and then we have a few seconds before we can drop another one, assuming I don't get terribly murdered. Yeah, it's... At its core, gameplay-wise, it's a fairly generic third-person... It's a fairly generic twin-stick shooter at its core. But when you start really digging into it and you get into the upgrades and maybe, you know, building up your own builds and whatnot, depending on how many different ones that are available, then it could get to be something that's, oh wow, just, yeah, eat all the damage off of that. But it could be something that that you could really get into and play for a very, very long time if you get into setting up your own builds. Now, once again, that's assuming that the game has a substantial amount of different upgrades and whatnot. The upgrade system itself is nice, but if it ends up being a fact of, you know, well, X is always going to be better than Y, then the upgrade system becomes moot at that point once you unlock the highest tier of things. We actually got a rank A there, even though we got the ever-loving crap kicked out of us. But yeah, this is Hexodius. $10 downloadable title on Xbox Live Arcade. Once again, assuming it's got the longevity to be played multiple times through and multiple times over. I mean, it does have 4 difficulty levels. It's got an arcade mode. It's got these really rather expansive maps with quite a bit to do in them and a nice variety of things to do. I mean, there's about, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 or 5 different types of rooms to go into, each one with kind of their own objectives. So yeah, I would say that it is at least worth checking out. Say, if it has a good upgrade system, and like I say, I've barely scratched the surface of the upgrades, so I can't say how that works in the long run. But if it has a good upgrade system, and if it's got, you know, a long enough campaign to really make it worthwhile to go back and do the score attack stuff to get onto the leaderboards and do the arcade mode and so on and so forth, then I would say it is definitely worth the money. Now, if you're not a fan of twin-stick shooters, or you feel that the market is kind of oversaturated, which, to be honest, it really kind of is, then I don't know if I can fully recommend it. But for people who are a fan of the genre, I cannot recommend it enough. That's really what it boils down to, is if this is your kind of game, then I think you'll like it a lot. If it's not your kind of game, there's nothing here that's going to change your mind, and that's really what it boils down to. With that said, I have been your host, Jeffrey Lazarus, and thank you for watching.